So hello and welcome to A Taste of China, which is an online program that pairs taste with place to explore China's vast culinary landscape. I'm Dinda Elliott, the Director of Programs at China Institute, and I'm so delighted to be here with my friend, Mei Zhang, the founder of WildChina, who are our partners in this wonderful series. Hi, Mei, good to have you. So today we are traveling to Guangdong on China's southern coast. And I'm especially excited about tonight's program because it's about so many important things. It's about food, it's about farming, it's about technology, it's about the new farm to table movement and the rise of organics in China. And it's about rebuilding the connections between the cities and the countryside, and about giving China's farmers a way to hang on to their traditions. So, by the way, I just wanted to say to everybody, we will try to take questions from the audience at the end. So please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen as we go along. And so Mei, let me turn it over to you to tell us a little bit more and tell us why we're here before we bring on our first guest.
Thank you, Dinda. Hi, everybody. Happy 2021. Right, welcome to A Taste of China's special WildChina on-air series co-produced with China Institute, my dear friend Dinda Elliott. And my name is Zhang Mei. I'm the founder of WildChina, and we specialize in in-depth travel to China for both individuals, schools, and companies. And right now, I cannot believe it, a year into this, still cannot travel to China. So we will continue our virtual exploration of China, and this is our 53rd event since February 2020. And we hope we will continue the virtual series for many, many more, but we hope you can hit the road soon. Right. So today I'm thrilled to be hosting with Dinda this panel discussion on organic farming. And we have a panel of fantastic guests. They are the activists in the organic farming movement in China, really. We will be moving from the top of the supply chain in Shanghai. That's Matilda Ho, who's also a TED speaker, who will give us a little bit context of where China is in its food movement in relation to the world. And then we will meet Fred Young, who is currently working to build a bridge between organic farmers and users in Shanghai. He is also in Shanghai. Then Fred will take us with him to visit Xiong Guilin in Guangdong, who is a local farmer there, an expert on mushroom farming. And we will see how they sustainably grow mushroom. So that's what we're here for. Back to you, Dinda.
Thanks, Mei. So I'm excited to introduce our first guest, who is Matilda Ho. And Matilda is a serial entrepreneur who's driving to create more sustainable food systems in China. She's the founder of Bits and Bytes, China's pioneer food tech venture capital company, investing in startups tackling global food system challenges. Matilda is also the founder of Yimi Shiji, which you might call the Whole Foods of China. It's a farm-to-table grocery e-commerce platform that has engineered food education and transparency into the supply chain and customer experience. Matilda, as Mei just mentioned, Matilda has also been a TED speaker on the future of good food in China. We're very honored to have her join us today. Hi, Matilda, welcome.
Hi, hello, hi, my truly pleasure to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. So Matilda, tell us, let's just jump right in because time is precious. So how do you see technology as a game changer in terms of improving China's food production systems?
Yeah, if you look at all the agriculture and food investment activities in China, maybe I can share some of the figure. Out of the $3.6 billion that went into those type of investment activities in 2019, more than 80% of those amount of money went into the downstream. So as we know, we call it the coffee shop chain, the milk tea chain, the meal delivery, the e-commerce, grocery. You'll be able to get a piece of garlic within 30 minutes at your doorstep upon your delivery for free. However, in our investment thesis, without the midstream and upstream supply chain technological advancement, it won't be able to support the sustainable downstream investment. It's not very, very balanced right now. So how we produce and deliver the food right now is just simply not sustainable. And to be able to provide more resilient, more sufficient supply chain, we do need technology to be able to enable. And that's how we wanted to continue to invest in those disruptive technology that will be able to address those food security and food safety challenges that China is facing right now.
So let's drill down into that a little bit further. So I'm still trying to understand exactly what's the problem that you're solving for. In other words, what's you mentioned food safety. Is that what's the real issue that your technology is helping to tackle?
Yes, there are multiple challenges that we're facing, starting from the food security. China represented 20% of the world population, but we only have less than 7% of arable lands. And now the Chinese government started to ban zero increase in pesticide and chemical fertilizer input. How can we continue to feed those population without hurting our soil and planet? That is a very big implication. And food safety. Right now, every year, China still has nearly half a million food safety scandal and violations. And how are we going to continue to educate the supplier to bring a safer food processing? That's also another key challenges that we're facing. And then if we talk about human nutrition, now China leads the world's population for both obesity and diabetics, and those type of foodborne diseases has no cure. When you become obese, there's no way until you change how you eat your food 3 meals a day, should you be able to really solve that problem. So there are a long list of the systematic challenges that we're facing, but it's not, we don't have a available ecosystem of VCs or PEs or corporates or startups that can have an ecosystem or network to continue to talk about it or to solve about it, or even the consumer education. Everyone thinks that they aspire to be healthy, but they don't know how. They don't know how to eat healthier. They don't know whether they can trust this article that posted online. So a lot of information online, but very, very few knowledge to talk about how you can eat better and healthier. And so I think that this is definitely the right time that we really need to bring more like-minded partners to really think about how to solve that issues.
And is your company, Yimi Shiji, is that actually trying to promote the idea of healthy eating? And I know you don't particularly specialize in organic food, although you have organic food on your platform, but are you trying to promote that idea of healthier eating?
Yeah, I think the purpose of setting up Yimi back in 2015 is very simple. How can we bring and promote transparency from farm to table and empower our consumers to eat better, healthier, and cleaner, and more mindfully? And that mindfulness is a really difficult thing to crack, because like I said, everyone can claim that they're organic. And as you may know, 10 years ago, everyone will be able to find a way and put the organic sticker on the package. And that is, we call it 劣币驱逐良币. All the good, mindful farmers don't know how to bring their organically grown produce to the final consumers. And they have a very high cost to cover their organically grown method. However, there are also a lot of those seemingly affordable organic produce that was sold 50% cheaper. So as a consumer, you don't know how to find a trusted source. So we started with a very simple mindset. Let's bring an app and let's work with those locally grown farmers. And we help those farmers to send those produce to the SGS or CINA certified facility to test 200 pesticides. And then after a week, we got the report. We put the report on our app so every consumer can check. Wow, okay. This farmer, they grow this produce without using any chemical fertilizer. How do they achieve that? And then we basically write down all their method on our website. So all the consumer have a very mindful education process to know that, okay, this farmer Sean, this farmer Fred, they use this method to be able to bring a very clean produce. And with this consent, then they have their right to make a more mindful choice to buy the produce directly from these farmers. And we help those farmers to bring their branded produce to the consumer door with our own cold chain logistics.
Ah, okay. So let's talk for a second about the consumer. I'm really curious about, whether Chinese consumers and city dwellers, I guess in particular, whether they care about this stuff. In America, we've seen the rise of interest in kind of small scale farming and artisanal foods, and the idea that you can somehow know where your food comes from. You might even know the specific farm that your food came from. Are you seeing that in China as well? Do people in the cities increasingly want that kind of information, or what do you see in the consumer?
Yeah, that is definitely a very interesting trajectory when we think about consumers' purpose for food. After the World War II, I think every family in China is only thinking about one thing: how can I eat full? How can I 吃得饱, right? I don't care if it's empty calorie or it's organic or whatnot. As long as I have a big bowl of rice, that's great. Yeah. And then the second trajectory after a decade, then everyone thinking about, okay, I need to eat well. How can I transform from 吃得饱 to 吃得好? I need to eat better. And that typically means that, okay, can I not just eat vegetables? Can I have more pork? Can I have more meat? Can I have a red meat? So, not only the Chinese New Year, I can slaughter a pig for my whole villages. I want to eat more. And now since 10 years ago, especially if you see Shanghai, Beijing, or Guangzhou, people now thinking about, I need to not only eat well, I need to eat healthy. Everyone was starting to go to the gym. I wanted to, download the app. I wanted to, jump on at my house for 10 minutes. I need to start becoming a healthy person. And they started to realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat that much white rice. I need to start eating some 5-grain rice. I need to start eating brown rice. Maybe I need to eat more protein. How can I get more cleaner protein? So now everyone has the aspiration to be healthy, but how can I educate more people to define what a healthy diet should be? That is something that I think people are starting to have that disposable income and have more time to access those website video or information to educate themselves, especially when those mothers starting to prepare that they wanted to have a baby. They started to be more mindful about, okay, I need to start to be healthier so that my baby can be born healthier. And when they started to have a baby, and 6 months in, they started to think about, okay, I need to prepare those 辅食. I need to prepare those baby food. Now I need to find a trustable source and channel to buy organic pumpkin, to provide, organic vegetables so that my baby can have all this clean food. So we do starting to see there is a trajectory of more and more middle-class family that has those aspiration. Yeah. And what we're trying to do is help them to really change their behavior and have more accessible and affordable source for those clean food.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned middle class, because that was exactly what I was just going to say. Is it seems like this is the perfect manifestation of the rise of the middle class in China. And I think that we in the United States really have a hard time kind of understanding that there really is a real middle class that's growing in China, and that's really not that different from the middle class in America in many ways in terms of aspirations and lifestyles and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
I think, hard for us to remember that. So one final question for you, Matilda, before we go over to Fred to talk more specifically about farming. What are the biggest challenges for your business? Is it that trust factor, or what are the challenges?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned trust, because trust is indeed a huge issue given all the, food safety scandals, and people, generally don't believe the organic. They don't think that organic food is necessarily better for you, and they don't know how you can trust. Everyone can claim that they have organic products on their platform, and how do you know China is so big and so fragmented? How do you know that now you have a certification on your app, but maybe tomorrow morning there is a raining day, and the farmer might borrow the fruits from their neighbors so that they can still have the money to fulfill that day. So there is a huge trust issue there, and that's why we often like to say that it is the process. It's not necessarily the result that you can build that brand trust with your customers. So what we're trying to do is every single component, we're trying to be as an enablement of that trust. So that's why, we will go to the village, we will bring our photographer, we will make a 5 minutes video about how farmers really grow their food without any chemical input. We will write their stories. We will also, even on the package, sometimes we will draw the farmer's face on the package as a way to let people know that, see, this is the farmer. And we even publish all the farm address, the farm owner's name. We sometimes name the vegetables behind the real farmer's name. And we encourage people to drive the car in the weekend to go see the farmers, to talk to them. That is the essential why we call ourselves a farmers market, that you really meet the farmers face to face. And that really brings that level of trust to another level. And of course, we also like to say a mindful patience, because, if you wanted to grow good food, that takes time. If you wanted to raise a chicken without adding antibiotics, it's not 45 days, it's 180 days. So we also know that building trust takes time. And that's why most of our loyal customers are through word of mouth. It's not through the coupon, it's not through the promotion. So I think this is probably our biggest challenge. How do you build that mindful business in a country that is almost a crime to take it slow?
Right. Wow. That is, yep. That's so interesting. And the idea that you're kind of connecting city people once again to the countryside, it's kind of like bringing humanity back into our, crazy modern lives. And it's just a wonderful thing that you're doing. So thank you, Matilda, so much. That is just fascinating. And don't go far away. Okay, stick around for a little bit. We're going to bring you back later, but we're now going to turn back to May, who's going to introduce our next guest. But May, I think if you don't mind, we're going to first show 40 seconds of a little video clip of Fred Young's project. So I think Aaron's going to run 40 seconds, and then you can introduce Fred.
Perfect.
Hopefully this will work.
We're struggling against the problems in Shanghai, and in 2008, we decided to move out of the giant city and return to our home village. And I came to realize I was destined to be a farmer that would create change through a new model. As much as I saw positive of village life, I started to notice its challenges as well. Since 2008, almost 80% population of my village just moved to the cities for better life. Only 100 out of 900 people have remained. And now, most of people staying in the village are either over 70 years or just below 10 years old.
So it's an amazing little introduction. So over to you, May.
Perfect way to launch into the conversation with Fred. It's very interesting. I just want to connect to what Matilda said. I think they produced this fantastic series of short films of the farmers, and one of which I watched was in Inner Mongolia. It was endearing. When you see how the farmers live, you really feel connected to food. And I think that's the connection a lot of us city dwellers are missing. I would love to go on one of these trips with Matilda to see that. Now, Fred, you took a leap of faith, right? And jumped straight into the farming, actual farming work yourself as well. In any event, let me back up and introduce Fred Young, who founded, as you just saw in the video clip, a Rainbow of Hope, an organization that works to strengthen the rural communities' ties through sustainable agriculture with urban communities. Fred is the first person from his home village in rural Hunan to attend university. And after that, took a very normal path as all Chinese young people do, went to Shanghai and started teaching English there and pursued a corporate career, and then decided to return. So Fred, I'm gonna come to you now. First of all, thank you for taking the time, and tell us, expand beyond the video, why you decided to work in eco-farming.
Well, I think that now I think it's just a dream from my childhood. It's really brought me back to my home. First of all, I think the dream is I would like to contribute something to the change of the life in my home villages, like the villages like my village, home village. And secondly, I would like to really some change in my food, because I was not used to the food I had in Shanghai. So I think that's why I just returned to my home.
Is it common, like now everybody's moving from country to city, you move in the reverse direction? Is this a new trend? Are you seeing many of your friends doing similar things?
Well, I have seen some friends, but quite some of them, because I'm one of them. Because I think I'm one of the earliest who just returned from the city to the countryside. So I know quite a few of them now in China.
And what do they do?
Well, they just returned and they want to do some farming, and they enjoy the pristine life there. I think that's why.
See, it's interesting. We had a conversation with an author who lives in Dali, who is witnessing the migration of city dwellers to idyllic countryside in Dali. And after a while, the challenges of living in the country becomes too big. And quite a few of them choose to reverse, to return to the city. Do you think that could happen to you and your friends?
It could, but because it was still difficult for you to really to live on farming just there, unless you are really very good at marketing, and then you can market yourself very well, and then you can get connected to the market, and then you can maybe sustain your life in the countryside, and that's happening now because there's more opportunities for such people to market themselves. They have the resources from online platforms like WeChat, and other social media.
Douyin.
Yes.
TikTok. Yeah. And Red. Yeah. So now let's dive in to understand a little bit. How does Rainbow of Hope work?
Simply, we just connected. Rainbow of Hope just connects individual farmer household directly with the 10 to 20 city families. The city families subscribe all the food that these farmer household grow and eat. So it's just like sharing of the surplus of the farmer household with the city families, and in return they get some cash income.
And a very similar question to what we were trying to discuss with Matilda earlier, that who defines your food as organic food? And how do you enforce to make sure the farmers are practicing organic farming?
That's a very good question. I think it's quite a challenge for most of the food distributors. What Raymond Folk does is Raymond Folk we have the standards, so chemical free, and we turn to like we need them to do like permaculture or biodynamic or Chinese conventional farming practice, but chemical free for sure. And then on the other hand, we need the farmer cooperative instead of just an individual farmer household, because they are not well disciplined, they are not well planned, they are not well organized. So we need the farmer cooperative to coordinate all the production, and as well as with the market side. So the farmer cooperative will make sure that the chemicals are not used. And thirdly, we'll do some random testing. When the like the vegetable goes to your doorstep, we'll ask the courier man to take a sample, just one sample from the box, and that sample will directly be delivered by the same courier man to the testing lab for testing. So we have this. Of course, one more, the matching city family, they can go drive to the to visit the farmer, and I think that's a kind of like a super inspection or supervision. Well, that's yeah.
So is it easy to find farmers who are willing to be part of it?
No, I would not say it's easy, because the farmers, they really love freedom. They love to live their free life, so they don't want to. Oh, this is too trouble. I need to pack everything each week, and I need to talk to people. I need to do this, do that. That's not their life. They want life to be very simple, as what it is. So then you need to find some coordinators. That's why we need the farmer cooperative, because they will find the right people, and they know the honest man in the village, in the community. Because they are. So yeah, that's it.
So which side is harder? Is it harder to find good farmers who would do organic farming, or is it harder to find buyers in the city who would pay I assume it's a premium price, for your produce? Which side is harder?
Well, I think it's to me, I think it's because I'm not a marketing man, so it's more challenging for me to find the buyers on the urban side. Then, well, it's not premium price for me, because what we try to do is to try to actually cut off the cost, not cost, because there's a direct connection between the two sides. So the price can be, I think, at least 30%, at least 30%, maybe even 40 to 50% lower than those claimed organic produces on the market.
Really?
Yes, I'm honest with you.
Where did the savings come from? Because I understand it takes more effort to grow food organically. Is the savings from distribution?
No, let me tell you the story, because now I had a really made a diagram. There's lots of waste on the supply chain. According to my rough research, the currently only 25% the harvest from the field is consumed by the end consumer into the stomach. Because lots of it have been either lost on the farm or been rejected by the supermarket because they need perfect looking stuff, and then on the shelf, at least 20% is wasted on the shelf. Those are just wasted. So, those waste can be of value to the farmer, and then the waste will be always borne by the end consumers if they buy the perfect looking and from the supermarket. I'm not trying to supermarkets are good, but that's just my rough research.
Well, even just the savings from waste,
Yes.
by not wasting, you save that
Yeah,
much.
and the
Okay.
profit
Mhm.
and profit for the middleman, because they will look into more at the profit instead of any other value.
Right, right. Okay, so now moving on, I think we're going to be visiting Xiong Guilin, a mushroom farmer in Guangdong. But before we go to him, could you tell us a little bit why is mushroom farming a great tool in sustainable farming? And tell us a little bit about your relationship and Xiong Guilin. How does what role does he play in your Rainbow Hope?
Well, Mr. Xiong has been we have been friends for over 10 years. So I started organic farming from mushroom, a stack mushroom, and so that's why we got to know each other. And he actually started mushroom grown farming around 10 years ago, from when he graduated from the university, and then we became friends. To me, I think mushroom plays a very important role in the ecosystem. It's a kind of fungi. The fungi play an important role in nature, because all the mushroom decompose wood and grass in nature into organic stuff and get those stuff back into soil. So when we grow mushroom, we actually speed up the process of decomposing of the organic stuff like wood and grass into the organic fertilizer. So I think it's very good. And then really mushrooms are very nutritious and delicious as well. So that's why I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now let's head to Guangdong, where farmer Xiong Guilin will show us around his mushroom farm and explain the process of sustainable farming. Please stay on, Fred. We will need your expertise and language to interpret for us.
Okay, I will.
What we're seeing.
Okay.
桂林，麻烦你打开你的视频啊，太好了，还有音频。试一下。
你好，你好。
哎，太好了 ，excellent, excellent. So maybe Guilin can tell us a little bit about himself.
桂林，您介绍一下你自己好吗？
介绍一下我。
Yeah， 是的。
你好，我叫熊桂林，我来自本身是籍贯是江西的，我在广东韶关。
Province, and then he is doing the farming in Guangdong province, just bordering with his home village.
我是在这韶关的韶关学院这里生物技术专业毕业的。
He graduated from the university in the neighborhood in Shaoguan, where his farm is based, and he learned how to grow mushroom in the university.
我是2007年毕业之后就留在本地，跟几个同学一起弄这个，就是说种蘑菇这一块，因为我喜欢这个。
In 2007, when he graduated from the university, because he loved the mushroom farming.
Where are you, 桂林？桂林现在在哪儿？那个身后是小孩子吗？我们看看。
没有，小孩子不在，这个就是我场地。
This is where he grows the mushroom.
他们在前面那里玩耍。
His family are now he has 2 children and they are somewhere else playing.
Fantastic. Can Guilin show us the different steps of mushroom growing?
桂林，你给我们展示一下是怎么做蘑菇的那个整个的流程。
整个流程啊。那又要搞上蘑菇那些，就是要材料，是不是？好，开始没准备一下。
Okay.
So sweet and beautiful.
So first, he's showing us the materials, the raw materials to grow mushroom. So generally,
就是还是就是原来那种没有把它剪到一起的，弄个材料在一起吧。
好的，好的。So first, the raw materials could be either wood or grass, so like the stems of the rice stalks and the stems of other crops like corn. These materials can all be built into the log of mushrooms.
等我2分钟行不行？我把那木杆拿上来吧。
您尽快一点好吧，因为它这个时间有点紧。
没关系，你就给我们看一下，比如说你的那个锅炉，你在家。
对，锅炉你这怎么做的就行了。So,
就是上次说的木糠，用的木枪那些打好包。
然后
现在就看
they have to pack the materials. The wood should be be made into like saw. They can use the saw dust or the slices of the wood, or the wood just a short wood log.
那就是这些材料，这些有木糠，有玉米粉，我们一般用的这些像这些玉米粉。
the corn powder.
就玉米啊，用玉米跟木屑。
And then with the sawdust, this is the corn powder.
就玉米跟这个木屑这些材料混在一起。
Slices and they mix all the materials.
然后装到这包里，装进来。
Put them into one bag.
用机器把它装进去，这个是装袋的，用机器装进去，料进来，然后就装进去。
Yeah, this is the
装进去之后就高温消毒。
materials, and then they need to sterilize the bag with the steam.
So they use heat. They steam the bag of sawdust.
Yes, the steam. Yes, and then they got this bag, and then they need to plant the seed into the bag.
开始装进去就这样，然后把这个菌种从这里放进去。
Now,
放进去它就慢慢
plant the seed into it, and then you can be syndrome in the bag, and the white ones.
The seed of mushroom.
Yeah, of mushroom, and then they grow.
然后这个白色的这个就是蘑菇的菌种菌丝，等这个它就是说逐步全部长好，这菌丝就像那个树根一样的，就占领整个木料。
Just like the roots of the trees, and then when it fills all this bag.
So it starts from this brown color with seeds, and then they grow and expand the white color to cover the entire log, basically.
That's right. Yes,
right?
And then and then it starts
there it is.
就可以长蘑菇出来。
And then you will start to get some mushrooms. So that's the process.
It's too bad the U.S. Customs won't allow those things through the customs. Otherwise, I would like to have some.
Yes, you can. You can grow them in there.
Because we are running a little short on time. I see Dinda's beautiful face there. Can we just quickly talk about once the mushroom is grown, what happens to all the waste?
那个桂林，现在我们时间有点短，有点紧啊。你告诉一下大家，这个长了蘑菇以后，这些废物你怎么来利用？就是剩下的这些东西你怎么来利用？你要告诉一下大家。
就是说这些蘑菇采完之后，这个蘑菇包就把它，像这些包，它就可以这样，就可以导出来，就是在树下面作为肥料，这些就种菜。
So after the mushroom, in all the wood or the corn powder will decompose into soil, into organic fertilizer. And actually, he cannot show us his banana banana trees, but he has banana trees, and he can put all the logs in the earth, in the soil, under the banana trees. So the banana trees provide a very good shading for the mushroom, and then in return, the mushrooms gives back the organic fertilizer for the banana trees.
Great. Oh, thank you so much.
So I'm wondering if I could actually, I came on not to tell you about time, but just because I have a question I wanted to ask. So I'm so curious. So Fred, maybe you can translate for Xiong Guilin. So he's a university graduate, and you're a university graduate. So he is, I guess I would call it a professional farmer. You know,
yes.
And that I think is something very, very new in China. In the old days, you would never have a university graduate go back to the farm and learn to do professional farming like this. So I'd love to just ask you both to talk about that a little bit. Is that a new trend? Why did Xiong Guilin decide to, you know, work on a farm instead of going to work for some big agricultural company?
OK，桂林，我给你解释这个Dinda 女士问您这样一个问题，就是我们都是大学生，那么大学毕业了以后，应该为什么你没有去给那种大型的农业公司工作，而您想选择了自己来做这个农业？
首先我自己比较喜欢自由的生活。
First of all, he enjoys the freedom, the free life, and I think that's characteristics of Chinese farmers.
其次呢，还有一个就是现在我是喜欢蘑菇这个，如果是进入蘑菇工厂的话，他们其实就是做一个工业产品一样的那种东西，只能说是我喜欢追求这自然一点的东西，所以那种工厂化的东西我不是很喜欢。
He prefers natural stuff. If he goes to the mushroom, you know, really a very big mushroom farm, then that will be industrialized because everything will be done just indoor and just like a factory. So he doesn't like he enjoys natural stuff instead of the industrialized stuff.
Fantastic question.
Yeah. And are the techniques and the science that he learned in university, are they useful to him now? And does he have a better life, you know, because of these technologies that he can use? You know, if he didn't go to university, would he be as successful?
桂林还有一个问题啊，就是你觉得在你目前的这种生产中间，你大学里学到的这些知识跟技能，对你的目前有很大的帮助吗？
有吧，因为我觉得在中国现在农村吧，就是说其实技术缺乏是很大的，很多东西都缺乏技术去开发利用。就是说留下来的农民呢，基本上都是老弱病残一样的，他们对技术其实是很缺乏的。然后就是说真正的说工厂那些，他又解决不了中国现在当代农村的一些问题。
Okay, Mr. Shong just gives up affirmative answer to you. That's yes. His knowledge, what he learned from the university has helped him a lot. And according to his point, farmers in China, they need the indigenous farmers. They do need some techniques and knowledge to help them improve the production.
I just want to cut in here and to share something. We've been working in the rural area called Songyang, which is 4 hours ride from Shanghai. And one of the biggest challenges is talented university graduate youth are not willing to return, or they return, then they only want to work for the government and become 公务员, right? Or they want to find a job in Hangzhou. So my hats off to both of you. I think you are doing incredible service to the countryside of China. What do you think, Dinda? Shall we? I think I see quite a few questions here. let's invite Matilda back. And while she's rejoining us, we have one question here directly for Mr. Xiong, and we can get to that. Approximately how much of your mushroom do you sell locally, and how much gets shipped to other cities? This is from Alan Berry.
就是他还有一个最后一个问题问一下你啊，就是你的那个蘑菇目前在你的当地的市场卖的是多少价格？然后卖到外地的话会是多少价格？
这个品种不一样啊，我们做的就好多品种啊。
He has different varieties. It all depends on the variety.
那它的那个比例多少是当地的，多少是运走的
？What's the 这个对。
一半一半吧。
50 local, 50 shipped outside. Wow, that's great.
And I'm curious about the size of his business, the scale of his business. How much land does he have? And what's the kind of, gross annual sales or whatever? What sort of size of business is he running?
桂林，你现在有多大？你的那个农场有多大？
这里是原来一个荒废的学校，当时说的面积大概15亩吧，1公顷这样子。
1 acre, 15 mu. I don't know what's that. 15 mu, and he is based in an abandoned primary school in the village.
What types of mushrooms?
有哪一些蘑菇？
很多都做，我们做灵芝、香菇、木耳、
reishi, staki mushroom,
平菇啊，
black fungi and oyster mushroom. A lot.
Yeah.
And before we go back to bringing Matilda back into the conversation, can Mr. Xiong tell us a little bit more about his life? Does he have, comforts that a city dweller might like? Does he have a nice big television? Does he have a car? What is his life like in the countryside?
OK， 桂林，你介绍一下你自己的那个家庭生活。他是问来到魏宁，你是魏宁，就是你的是不是有车？是不是有大的电视机？是不是有其他一些，比如说城市里面家庭所有的一些那个设备？
我有车，有2个小孩
，2 kids。
然后我小孩是在县城读书上学。
His kids go to school in the county level, county town city, and then they return to the village on the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think that your children will be farmers also?
你的小孩会成为以后也会从事农业吗？
不一定，就看他们兴趣吧。
It all depends on he cannot decide.
Great. So, Matilda, there are a number of questions here for you as well. So I wonder, okay, so one person is asking, what kind of farmers does Imi Shiji work with? And I guess the more important thing is, how do you select the farmer partners and the producers that you're working with? Is it commercial farms or individual farmers like Mr. Xiong? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, it's a complicated questions. In terms of our sourcing principles, first of all, we trying to promote local food because local food has 2 benefits. One, your customers, your farmers better, is closer, and it also reduces the carbon footprint during the shipping of the food. So for example, take fruits as example. Most of the strawberry, it's the strawberry season right now. We only work with the strawberry farmers that grow their strawberries in Shanghai, blueberries as well. But apples in Shanghai, we can't really grow apples in the warmer weather. So we will have to work with the Xinjiang farmers, Shandong farmers, Shanxi farmer for those apples. We have an old saying, 一方水土养一方人. So we really wanted to make sure that the land can grow the seasonal fruits that can automatically bring the best taste for the market. So we have the local principle as the key. And then second of all, then we wanted to visit the farm. We actually have a dairy, we have a checklist that our sourcing manager will go to the farm to make sure that, you know, their management governance is there. There's no, you know, technical difficulties for them. There is a checklist that we wanted to take care of it. You know, we like to say that it's a combination of art and science, because we do know even if we just send a sample to the testing facility for insurance, we don't know every single day in the future whether they can continue to have the consistently good quality of those produce. So I think, you know, knowing your farmer, knowing their farming method is also a very key sourcing principle for us.
Mm-hmm.
I see the second half of this question, which is very interesting, is does Yimi Shiji share the costs and profits with the farmers, or is Yimi Shiji a for-profit venture or non-profit venture?
Yeah, we are a for-profit organization. We do believe that the sustainable business should be taking equal importance on the purpose and profit. So what we do is we wanted to grow the business fast on the consumer side, and so that we will be able to influence more and more farmers that convert from conventional farming method to the organically grown method. And we don't like to say organic just because, you know, in China there is a very, very difficult situation. You have to pay at least 200,000 renminbi a year that will be able to get that organic license. And it's going to be very difficult for a small farmer to have that money to be able to get that. So we like to say that pesticide-free, chemical-free, local food. There are many, many ways to define what a mindful food choice could be.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't like to say organic is just one of the ways. We do work with some of the medium-sized farmers that they've been working on the farm business more than 10 years. And then they starting to, you know, scale to a bigger farm. And we think that's a very beautiful, successful story to inspire more small farmers to scale up their business.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump in with another question for Fred and Xiong Guilin, which is, you know, I'm curious, I guess, Fred, to work with the farmers that you work with, I guess you have higher standards than, you know, because it's organic and certified and all these things. It's higher standards than just your average farmer. And so my question for you and Xiong Guilin is, are there other farmers around him? You know, 他周围的农户, are some of the other farmers, they say, oh, forget it, it's too much trouble. I don't want to bother with this, all of these fancy standards and requirements. Is it, you know, does Xiong Guilin find that there are some of the other farmers in his community, they do not want to participate in this kind of project?
桂宁，就是在我们周围的这些，在您周围的这些村民，他们会不会对，比如说做有机农业啊这些事情呢，生态农业这个是太麻烦了，一个在一个那，又这项又要做那样的事情，然后他们就不愿意来参与咱们这种生态农业，有没有这种现象？
都不会，因为我所处的地方相对比较山，就是说偏山里面。他们其实大部分，其实我接触得到，不管是农户也好，还是市民也好，就是基本上其实现在很多人都想要好的产品，有机的，但是无非就是最后就面临一个问题，生活条件所迫，很多人可能说表面上或者说平时聊的时候会很在意这个事，但真的到购买的时候可能会限于自己的购买力的问题，最后又逃避这个事情。其实农户也很想做，只是说你做出来，如果消费者不认可，就是说没有人购买的话，他们最后倒逼他们还是不敢这样去操作。其实大家还是想做好的东西，毕竟最后很多人都会像中国相信轮回的，你最后你还是要回到自己身上 即便说你自己种的东西，如果是说有农药或者化肥那些自己不吃，但是你还是要买别人给你的东西啊。
Okay. Not really. He gave the negative answer to your question. He says that everybody, including the farmers as well as the city dwellers, they want good and healthy food. But on the city side, the city consumers, they think they need to pay more and they're not affordable on the market. And on the other side, in the farmers, they want to do in a natural way, but the question is, if they do that way, they cannot sell all their produces, and then there could be the failure for them. So that's the conflict.
So it's a higher risk for the farmers.
Yes.
Right. Uh-huh.
Which I think is a perfect segue into a question here from Imma. It says that this person is in Guangdong province. By the way, you can subscribe to Rainbow of Hope and get Xiongguiling's mushroom. And the question is, they're very curious about whether live streaming and e-commerce have changed the dilemma that Xiongguiling was describing. Has it? Do you have any remarkable examples that e-commerce has broken the barrier and reached consumers?
桂林就是像目前刚才讲的这种困境啊，就是城市跟乡村之间的这种困境，没法，一个是没法买，一个是没法卖。
对，
目前的这种，比如说像像我们的那抖音啊这些，还有一些电子商务。是不是对这个有一个很大的促进？对这个问题有一个解决的方案呢？你感觉到？就像直播，
我觉得有好也有坏。就说抖音有些东西又传出的好的，有时候也传出坏的东西出来。你说如果能够真实反映的，可能会有促进作用，但是反而有些抖音会有些投机的在上面的展示，反而让人家对这些真实性的怀疑态度更加强烈，所以说那些东西也说不清楚。反正现在个人感觉做有机、做生态这些东西，还是在自己建立自己的信任体系的，靠外力好像现在都挺难的。
So Mr. Sheng, his answer is, TikTok and talking this social media can help, but those stuff can also be used be made advantage by some speculasts or opportunists, and then it actually worsened the situations for the trust. And he believes that personal trust could help more. So he thinks could still relies on personal trust.
We do one more question, and then I'm afraid it's really time's up, unfortunately.
还有最后一个，一个问题问一下。
So I guess this is, go ahead. Did you want to ask one, May?
Oh, no, you go ahead. I was thinking we were out of time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit similar, but it's a very interesting way of asking the question. Ron Bird is asking, okay, so Fred, this is might be difficult to translate, but do the local non-organic farmers, so the other farmers around him who are not doing this organic farming, do they think he is an innovator? In other words, someone who's brilliant and coming up with new ideas, or do they think he's a disruptor, so he's making life more difficult for them?
桂林有一个问题要问你啊，就是说你在这里做这个有机生态农业，那么周围的这些村民是认为你是一个破坏者呢，还是一个对于那些周围不做有机农业的这些村民，他们会认为你是一个破坏者呢，还是一个创新人士？
不至于说你是破坏者，只是说他不做有机的人，他只是说觉得自己做不了而已。但你能做，他可能就是说会持一些怀疑态度看着你啊。但是你说他自己对你有什么敌意，这个倒不至于，因为现在都感觉这个市场也好，环境都好，都是挺公平平等的，也没有说一下子 你做的跟人家不一样，就对你有敌意的。我觉得倒不会，只是说人家做那种的，就可能大部分人持有的态度就是觉得你可能生存不下去，或者做不了，因为现在就说大环境或者说整体的觉得你的生存空间会相对小，还是说中国的这种时间做得长的这种模式比较兴起吧。其实很多人都想做，包括你说那些工厂的也好，在这些做传统的这种模式也好，他们其实也想做成好的，只是无非就是最后也是自己做出来也卖不掉，或者说销售跟不上。其实我觉得大部分人还是想往好的做，就算是他们有时候为了钱在做主，其实还是希望对身体好的东西，只是说是环境逼着他们没办法了，我觉得是这样的。反正我接触的人，我个人感觉都不至于说有敌意，只是说看你觉得不一定做得下去哦，就觉得这个意思吧。
Well, just to make it really short,
Yeah.
Mr. Sheng says that he hasn't felt any hostility from the non-organic farmers, and he thinks all the farmers are good, have nice heart. They want to do good things, but the challenge is that if they do that, can they survive? You know, so this is a question for him as well, because this is a question from the non-organic farmers for Mr. Sheng also.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Fred, you are an amazing, amazing interpreter. So I want to thank you for that. And, you know, unfortunately, we're out of time now, and we could talk and talk and talk for so much longer. There's so much to learn, but we're so happy that you all joined us and so grateful. And I hope to our audience, I hope that you will all join us for the next episode in this series, which is going to be on Tuesday, March 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And it will take us to the west, to the spice capital of China, Chengdu, Sichuan. And we'll be releasing more information about that next program soon. So please sign up for our newsletters or check back on our websites to register. I also want to invite you to tune into the next few China Institute Pieces of China episodes. We will have Yale's top China curator. We're going to have a Chinese wallpaper expert, and we're going to have the wonderful author and journalist Jim Fallows on the harrowing flight he co-piloted from Changsha to Zhuhai. We'll also have lots of fun programs around Chinese New Year, so please do join us. But before I hand it over to May, I just again want to thank you all. Matilda, thank you so much. Fred, thank you so much. Xiong Guilin, you are all so inspiring. So Fred, I hope that you will translate that for Xiong Guilin. It's really so inspiring to hear about your work, and thank you for sharing it with our audience tonight. And I also, of course, want to thank May and the WildChina team for their incredible work on this program. So over to you, May. Thank you so much for joining us.
I can only second what Dinda just said. I think Matilda and Guilin and Fred, all of you are in for an uphill fight. It's not going to be easy to build trust in the organic farming movement, but I am just delighted that you guys are there leading the way. So wish you lots of good luck, and thank you so much for opening our eyes to a different side of Chinese food. And yes, like Dinda said, we're going to explore more virtually as well as next year, later this year, join WildChina to see them. And Dinda, I love your programs, and you did not ask for donations or join your membership, but I think China Institute is fantastic. I want all of us to be a member and join. Next, WildChina also has a WildChina book talk series, and we are reading Xing Ran's book on it's called The Good Women of China. It's one of the most sort of sad, heartbreaking, harrowing story that I've read on Chinese women. It truly touched me, and I hope you can join us, and you can find all this information on wildchina.com. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dinda.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
非常非常感谢。
谢谢，
好，
谢谢。
谢谢，谢谢。
好，再见。